Hello, everybody. I'm Mike from the Rewatch Project podcast, and I am a Trekkie watching classic Doctor Who for the first time. And we have reached the 5th episode of the second serial being the Daleks, and the 5th episode being the Expedition. So we'll get straight into this. I won't keep you waiting or do any kind of procrastination, except for a quick reminder to say that I always appreciate comments, and thank you so much to all those who have been contributing. And I like to get in there as often as I can and show my appreciation for all of the learning that I'm doing. I know very little about Doctor Who, as you will probably see whilst watching this episode, so this has been quite an education. So let's get into it. Let's watch the 5th episode of the Daleks.
Daleks took it from me when they searched me.
Blame the Daleks.
Down there somewhere in the city.
This will require some kind of titular expedition. It's been an art form to writing the end of those episodes, to have such a concise what we need to do next summation, but that is all you need, really, as far as it previously goes.
They'll find us and kill us. You know that as well as I do.
I'm just wondering how often finding a part or some kind of fueling mechanism for the TARDIS is used as a device. I mean, certainly in Star Trek, we see the dilithium crystals being used quite frequently. So I'll be interested to know how it's a really obvious barrier to have, you know, that and the Doctor losing his keys. I mean, you know, I've got to say, if I was the Doctor, I'd be using one of these at all times, perhaps on like one of those pocket watch things, hanging into a waistcoat. I could imagine that suiting the Doctor's style, but I mean, yeah, I'm very curious to see how often these things come up.
Even supposing you're right, I will not ask the Thals to sacrifice themselves for us. I'm sorry, Barbara, I just can't do it.
Ian, why can't you see?
Good day, sir.
Well, don't worry about it now, Doctor. It's happened.
Yes, but at least you're not vindictive.
Well, I will be if you don't get my name right. It's Chesterton.
Yes. Eh? I know that.
How you two can stand there wasting time with small talk beats me.
Their sort of back and forth is becoming more like banter now than actual animosity. So that's quite a nice development to watch and see develop.
I can assure you, young lady, I haven't been wasting my time. There's always a way. That's all right, young man. The mind will always triumph. With me to lead them, the Thals are bound to succeed.
But Grandfather, we've been talking and arguing about
Love
this
it.
all morning. The Thals won't fight. They're against war.
My dear child, this is no time for morals. They must fight for us.
I wish I was as confident in my opinions as the Doctor. You know, because often in real life, what you tend to see is really smart people. I'm not saying I am a really smart person. I'm not. Let me be clear. But really smart people seem to be quite unsure of themselves, whereas really dumb people are very certain that what they say is right. You know, we see that. Anybody who has the internet sees that quite frequently. So it's quite nice to see somebody who's very sure of himself and is smart. I guess that's what makes it hubris. But it's definitely an entertaining trait.
The Doctor's right, and I want to get out of here.
I am sorry, I'm not having anyone's death on my conscience.
Wow, Ian really is the moral centre of this group, isn't he?
Except mine, and Susan's, and the Doctor's.
Quite so.
The only way the Thals can fight is if they themselves want to. It must have nothing whatsoever to do with us.
I know what you mean. We must help the Thals to save themselves, not just them help us.
Exactly.
All you're doing is playing with words.
We need action, not arguments.
Now listen, you two.
Intellectualising it.
What victory are you going to show these people when most of them are being killed, eh? A fluid link? Is this what you're going to hold up to them and say, thank you very much, this is what you fought and died for?
Good point.
The thing is, can the Thals still fight?
Well, that's what we got to find out. Are they cowards? Or are they just against fighting on principle?
Well, how can we find out?
Well, I've got an idea. But whatever I do, don't interfere.
So Ian going to start some
Be
shit.
sure that I'm right.
Did you spill my pint?
Well, let's see what happens.
There will be no more wars. Look at our planet. This was once a great world, full of ideas and art and
Post-apocalyptic
invention.
wind. in the background.
In one day it was destroyed. And you will never find one good reason why we should ever begin destroying everything again.
I suppose as well, you saw in the 1950s a lot of science fiction was informed by the Cold War. It informed the genre on every level. So I guess this idea of endgame, of apocalypse, was very much in the zeitgeist still here in the early 60s. I mean, the Cold War would go on for another 20 years.
I'm sorry.
There we go. Sort the man a nut up.
So there is something you'll fight for?
This is like the anti-Star Trek, isn't it? It's like he's teaching them to fight. But then again, I mean, it's in this situation, it definitely seems to be the right thing. That's something that Star Trek sometimes touched on, is that morality is somewhat of a luxury. It's really easy to be kind of sanctimonious and espouse morals that are beyond reproach when everything's great. It's when everything goes to shit that we're really tested. And sometimes, again, you don't have the luxury of not fighting.
Control! Cannot control!
Oh, he's freaking out.
Help me!
Oh, poor Dalek. Oh. It's a tremulous timbre you don't hear very often from a Dalek.
Emergency! All distribution of the anti-radiation drug is to be stopped immediately.
Doesn't work on Daleks.
But what are we to do? Is this the end of the Daleks?
What colour are the Daleks meant to be? It's obviously we're in black and white here. I can't tell. Are they just sort of like silver and white? Or I guess there wouldn't be any real point in making them any more colourful than that. But I'm just curious. There's set photos, colour set photos from this time.
We need radiation to survive. We may have to explode another neutron bomb.
It's a bit selfish.
Do you despise me for hitting him?
If
Au
you
contraire.
hadn't told him, I think I would have hated you.
I knew he wouldn't really take you and give you to the Daleks. But I fought him. I wish Nemesis were here. What would he have said, Dione? Which is the most
She dug it.
important, to fight and live, or to die without fighting?
Questions, moral questions. Is Barbara going to get a bit of romantic attention? The Dalek POV cam.
The anti-radiation drug.
There is no indignity in being afraid to die. But there is a terrible shame in being afraid to live. If none of you agree with my reasons,
Bloody good writing. That's what I'm going to say, because I think that writing for something like Doctor Who or Star Trek must be really difficult, because it is kind of its own genre. It's almost like writing historical fiction. Or it's got that kind of highly prosaic theatricality, almost Shakespearean language, and a kind of pomposity to it. Then you've got like the techno babble, the science fiction of it all. And then you've got the kind of the historical fiction element of it, where it almost reads like something that has been discovered. And to write that with any kind of poetry and relatability to then contemporary audiences, whilst also doing all of the subtextual stuff that they're doing, and also making it entertaining for children and for families, that's a lot of masters to serve. And I'm really impressed, really impressed.
then let me go with these people.
The Doctor, again, very much
Now, what is this area here?
taking a back seat.
Here are the mountains. This is the far side of the city.
Has been so far
I
in
think
this
it's the swamp.
episode.
Yes, I think that's the best.
Are we all agreed? Yes. Very well then.
Doctor seems to be
That is
enjoying
what we
himself.
will do. We'll never get through.
Swamp of Doom.
What makes you think it'll be any different to the first time?
I'm going to give Barbara a hand.
I'm surprised you let her come.
I'd be more surprised if I could have stopped her.
How you doing?
Fine.
You see, there are these nice small touches, and it's funny because, I mean, obviously I know that that Doctor Who features many teams of companions, but because I'm watching this from the beginning, I feel now like these are kind of my guys. So, you know, I mean, Ian in particular feels, you know, like the dramatic, proactive center of the show. So I'll be interested to see how it does impact the show when he and they leave. And I'll be curious to know what the impact was at the time. I mean, obviously we know the Doctors change, the regenerations and all that, but I'm really curious to see how it feels when we do have the first of those big changes. I've got no idea when that is. It could be the next episode, or there could be 50 more. I'm flying blind here, so that's kind of interesting. Just as like I say, to sort of surrender myself to my ignorance of this show and just kind of enjoy it.
Oh, I'm glad the mountaineering's over.
Okay, take care. Watch where you put your feet.
God, it's supposed to have been difficult to do in the studio. A lot of moisture in the air, playing with those big hot cameras, lighting rigs.
These things are bothering us.
Definitely a frisson between them. Ian doesn't seem bothered. Makes you wonder. Oh, this is like it's like the beast outside the mines of Moria and Tolkien.
Christus, stand guard here, will you? Right. We're more used to this kind of life.
This is very
It's
Tolkien-esque.
over a year since we left our own plateau in search of a new source of food. What did you see?
Over there.
We were right.
I've got to say, I'm worried for that one member of the Aryan Brotherhood that's getting close to Barbara. It's never a good idea to get close if you're a recurring guest star. It's never a good idea to get close to one of the principal cast members. I sense heartbreak for Barbara and death for Aryan Brother number 4 here.
The Daleks do get their water from the lake to work on the pipeline.
How long do you think it would take us to reach there?
Most of today. If we could cross the lake, we could reach it much
I'm
quicker.
sorry, that one way I'm not going.
Well, it would be dangerous, certainly. The lake is full of mutations.
No, we must go round.
Yes.
Man, no one will let that guy finish, will
The
they?
sun goes down.
Look at him.
Well, I'll just go and fill the water bags.
Yeah. No one's bloody listening to me anyway.
No.
So quite as blonde as the others. Maybe that's why he gets no respect.
Anyway.
It's a good job that the Daleks fed them, though, isn't it? Because they've barely eaten since they left Earth. Oh no, the Doctor, he's got that replicator food pellets thing, isn't he? Of course.
Stay here.
The ordeal. Doesn't bode very well. Okay, so we're moving through the Daleks. Again, really enjoyed that episode. And I think for me, what is increasing my enjoyment of this as we go through is spending more time with the characters and just seeing their chemistry grow and their relationships grow and their kind of ease with each other grow. I think that we're not spending too much time with the sort of the natives of the planet, and the science fiction ideas here are really interesting as well. And I think the thematic thing around the pacifism element of it is really interesting. And there were some really fascinating comments and observations about that in the comment section of the most recent episode that I put out on the channel. So please do go and check that. And I'm really looking forward to the next one. What I will say is, or ask, is where do I go after this? I'm seeing really conflicting lists of Doctor Who episodes. Some include episodes that are lost. Some include ones that have been lost but reconstructed. Some include all of them but suggest skipping them. Where should I go after the Daleks? Where should I go if I want to be a completist and see all of the surviving material, even if it's maybe part of a serial where some of the episodes have been lost maybe, but some are still surviving, or there's been reconstructions? Or where should I go next if I want to just have a great experience of watching the show, but not necessarily feeling that I need to watch everything? I'll be really interested to see that. So I'll look out for answers to that in the comments, and I look forward to getting on to part 6 of the Daleks. I've got no idea how many parts this has got. I think from memory it's got 6 or 7, so we're getting near the end. But yeah, I'm really having a great time with Doctor Who, and I can't wait to see how this concludes and to learn about where I should go next. So speak soon. Bye-bye.